Thank you, guys. Can you hear me? Am I on the mic? All right. Welcome, everyone. I know we're getting you after lunch. Are you guys in your turkey comas, tryptophan? Hopefully, we're here to talk about technology and shopping. My name is Stephenie Landry, and this is Gianna Puerini. I'm going to start. We're going to co-interview each other, so it's a little bit of a different format, but we're excited to try it. So, Gianna, the video showed a little bit about your business, but not everyone in this room understands what Amazon Go is.
Yeah.
Can you describe what it is and also who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is my first time here, and it's been awesome so far, so I'm super excited. So real quick, I started at Amazon in 2003. And between 2003 and 2011, did a whole bunch of different jobs, ended up running worldwide design and some of the website features you might know, like customer reviews and such. In 2011, I actually decided to leave. I loved the company and loved the job, but I had this itch to do something with my hands and something physical, having been in technology my whole career. So I decided that I was going to become a general contractor and build houses. Something about which I knew nothing, by the way. So I left Amazon and started doing that. And I was actually really enjoying it. I had done 2 projects. And in 2012, I got a phone call from a guy who I now work for at Amazon saying, "You want to have lunch?" And I thought, you know, this is probably about a job. There's like a 5% chance I'm going to entertain this idea because now I use power tools, and that was going to be hard to walk away from. I had a table saw. And but I did. But I went to lunch with him anyway, and he told me that Amazon was thinking that it might be time to experiment with physical retail, and my jaw kind of dropped because Jeff had always said, and he has said this in the press, you know, we wouldn't do that unless we thought we could do something different. You know, retail was very well served, and people did their jobs very well, so we couldn't do something me too. So I immediately decided I would come back. I didn't know this guy very well, so I wanted to seem thoughtful, so I asked him if I could have a day or 2 to think about it, but really, I had already decided, and I put my table saw away and came back to Amazon. So 4 years later, we launched Amazon Go, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it is still in beta and open only to Amazonians. But it's a small format store that offers ready-to-eat meals, grocery essentials, and a new product called Amazon Meal Kits in a format where you walk into the store using an Amazon Go app, and you take things off the shelf and you walk out. And so we launched in beta on December 5th, and so it's still, unfortunately, not a lot of people have been able to experience it, but it's been a super exciting 4 years. So that's me and Go. Awesome. Your turn.
All right. This is my second time up here on the LWT stage. It's great to be back. My name is Stephenie Landry. I've also been at Amazon for 13 years. I invited Gianna to come. We actually started at about the same time, and we both worked on our first really big project together. So we've known each other for a long time. I currently lead a service called Prime Now, which if you're in one of more than 45 cities or 7 countries that we operate in, it's your latest Prime membership benefit. Do we have any Prime members in the audience? Yeah. Well, if you did not know about Prime Now, this is a benefit that comes with your membership, and if you're in a major city like San Francisco, I just ordered something last night, you can get products that you need delivered to you in less than an hour. You go to an app, you download the Prime Now app, you shop, you order, and things come to you in an hour. That's the basics of my service. I always find lesbians who tech a little intimidating, like Obi Felton talks about, moonshots and like curing cancer and like turning seawater into fuel, and I'm like, I'll bring you diapers. I call it earth shots. I'm like, I solve the most basic human problems in the ways, and I try to make it feel really simple. And that does take a lot of work and a lot of technology, but yeah, diapers, you can get them in an hour. So 4 years is a really long time to conceive of and work on a product. And starting with, you could get into physical retail to where you've ended up. How did that happen, and how did you land where you did?
Well, it's a fun process. Some of you may have read in the press, we use a process at Amazon called working backwards, and I am a huge proponent of it. I was lucky to be part of the early days when we developed it, and we started this project no differently. And so when I first started, and I was the only employee at the time, first thing I did was do a lot of shopping, including in San Francisco, and just really thought about all the great, fantastic things about physical shopping, and then the parts of it that weren't so great. So as part of the working backwards process, we typically write a press release. And it's basically a fake press release of an announcement that you'd be super proud to make to customers. So it seems simple now. It didn't seem as simple at the time. But if you ask yourself what's not awesome about physical shopping, well, waiting in line doesn't add a ton of value. There's many great things, but most people wouldn't say that waiting in line is the best part of physical shopping. So it was like, well, it'd be cool if we could get rid of that. I don't know how, but it'd be cool if you didn't have to wait in lines. And then we thought, well, as far as where you have to wait in a lot of lines, it's where you go the most, which is shopping for food. And much like Stephenie, I'm just kind of feeding people lunch. It's not earth-shattering, but you do eat. Everyone eats every day, usually. So it seemed like something in the grocery industry, something where frequency is high, something where time is at a premium, you may want to be getting home to your kids or your family, whatever, that would add a lot of value to customers. So we decided that, well, if we can figure out how to do that, if we could figure out a way where you could walk into a store and just take stuff as if it were your own pantry and just leave, well, that would be really cool. Turns out that was hard, so hence four years. But we were, one thing that we say at Amazon is to be stubborn on the vision and flexible on the details. So the vision of that ease of that experience, we really worked at staying stubborn about that. And then during the 4 years, you're flexible on the way you do it and the way you think about it. On the other end of the spectrum, I took a little slice of forever to launch our beta, and you were able to launch Prime Now in 111 days, I believe. Yep. Maybe talk a little bit about how that kind of speed is possible.
Sure. So I'm actually a big fan of the working backwards process also. Actually, when I came to Lesbians Who Tech 2 years ago, my whole talk was about how to launch something fast. And one of the key ingredients that I said was having a really clear vision, which I personally believe that the idea of writing a press release as your starting point for the world that you want to see and create is a really crisp way to articulate a vision for the future that can rally a group to get behind it. And for us, that press release was really critical and important in our speed. What I will say that is a little bit different, maybe, hearing you talk about the process for Go, is we really pared down our experience. We accepted some imperfections in our experience. We decided that there was two things that were going to be meaningful for Prime Now. The first one was, do you have what I want? So we were going to have to work on selection and making the selection good. And the second was, can you get it to me in the speed that I want it in? And we decided that that speed should be an hour or less. And those were the only two things that we focused on. I think that one of the essential things that you need to do if you want to do something fast, and this is relevant to people who are entrepreneurs and trying to do things quickly, or people who are working in big organizations and want to lead initiatives that move fast. We really did not fall in love with our own ideas. There was lots of design things that we wanted to do that we thought were fantastic, but we didn't wait to develop those things to get it started. And for our product, that was important because seeing how customers actually used and interacted with it was going to give us a lot of information. So one example is one of the biggest pieces of feedback we got, we started with a mobile-only app because we thought this is for on the go, there's a real speed element to it, we thought that a mobile product would be great. the single biggest piece of feedback that we got was that people wanted a desktop version. So we ended up putting out a desktop version. But we would have never predicted that if we were just listening to our own thoughts about what we thought a speed-based product would look like. So I would say working backwards process, stubborn on the vision, and then really making sure that we got things out as fast as possible and not being too perfectionist about the whole thing. So 111 days, but it'll take us 4 years.
Let me assure you, I have many imperfections, as does what we launched, but iterative, it's okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about the actual technology that powers Go, and also, there's the technology, but the actual experience maybe feels a little bit techless, right? People are just like walking in and taking stuff and leaving.
Yeah, part of what was hard was we really wanted it to, we didn't want people to have to dramatically change the way they behaved. This whole walk in, take what you want and leave was very similar and natural to how you shop today, except for the part about, stealing. and so we thought, well, for that to happen, we would have to weave the technology really into the store somehow. And we early on thought, well, we're going to have to push the boundaries in some areas. And the areas that proved to help us deliver it were computer vision, a lot of machine learning and deep learning algorithms, and fusing a lot of input from various sensors to ultimately figure out what product is leaving the shelf and what customer is taking it. And we call that just walk out technology. And that was the part that definitely where we spent most of the 4 years trying to maintain that seamless experience and not have to force customers to do something entirely new for something that is really frequent and frankly pretty easy today. Other than the fact that you'd rather be spending time elsewhere than waiting in line, shopping's, I think, in a lot of ways, a very pleasant experience. So we really had to work to weave the technology into the fabric of the store. So other than scanning in when you come in using our app, after that, it's pretty much just like today. And funny enough, I was telling Stephenie that early on, I'd go to the store and I would practice things like carrying around a bag and seeing what it was like to put things in a bag as I shopped, because that was a net new behavior, and started actually almost stealing by mistake here and there. So after 4 years, you do get a little in your own head. But I think that's where the majority of the time went, and we really had to keep pushing even when things seemed like they weren't possible. There's a difference between not possible and just hasn't been proven yet. Mm-hmm. So we've been live since, December 5th, so a couple of months. You have had 2 years?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
I'm curious, one thing we talk a lot about at Amazon is positive surprises. Mm-hmm. Things that customers really like that we weren't expecting them to like. And after 2 years, I also think about how do you have to think differently about running and operating a business versus when you were in your 111-day massive sprint?
Those are both good questions. Okay, positive surprises. One big surprise is that people really love the bag. Has anyone ever shopped on Prime Now? So
someone does.
We get tons and tons of feedback about what is effectively like a brown paper handleless bag that's folded over. And the reason that people love it so much is because a lot of them are passionate Amazon customers that have a lot of boxes in their house, and like box reduction it's removing another chore that we didn't expect. They don't have to undo those Amazon boxes, and they can use this, paper bag for composting, or it's easy to put away. So we get tons and tons of positive feedback about the bag. So that's been one interesting positive surprise. If you go and look on Twitter right now and go look at #PrimeNow, you'll also see people like posting pictures of the bag. So yeah, people like that bag a lot. That's one surprise. In terms of thinking differently, in the beginning, really rallying a team around speed was my whole objective. But now we have so many transactions and we're in so many different places. I really think about avoiding mistakes. So when you trust someone with delivery, especially delivery that you need fast, a mistake can really impact that customer's perception of your product. And the thing about inventing something is that you only get to dazzle people for a little while. Like when we first launched, it was like, oh, it's magic, it showed up in an hour, and now people are like, you used to come in 45 minutes, and now, now it takes an hour, or, but when you make errors, it really does break customer trust. And so as a leader, I'm thinking a lot more about what metrics do we need to be looking at? How do we correct behaviors fast? How do we improve our customer service when things do go wrong, make it right fast? And it's just getting the team to think in a different way.
I want to switch gears a little bit because you and I have talked, we've known each other a long time, we've talked a lot about how our own selves and our points of view have affected our work and how to deal with that and how to incorporate it into the way we lead. And we've both been building products at Amazon for a really long time. And I'm curious how who you are and your unique perspective has affected the way you think about that and how perhaps it's evolved over the years.
That's a good one. I think a little bit of an anecdote comes to mind. Before this current job of Prime Now, I used to lead the baby category, which is if you need strollers or car seats or anything that is for that little human, I used to lead the category that did that. And we were tasked with creating a loyalty program to try to get parents to come shop with Amazon, because it's a big stage in your purchasing life where you just buy a lot more when you have a kid. You have need for more stuff. And so if you can get someone to come be a passionate customer of yours during that time, you kind of have people for life. And so I was tasked with trying to create a loyalty program. And when it came to naming the program, the company really loved the name Amazon Mom. And I really was not a fan of the name Amazon Mom. And I remember really distinctly the reason why I had concerns is, one, I'm in a gay relationship, a two-parent household. I can imagine other two-parent households where there is no mom, and they still need diapers. And then further, if I was even in a more heteronormative relationship, I'm not positive that mom is the only purchasing decider in the room. And so, I expressed my concerns about this, and my point of view was really different than the data that we were seeing. The data on the table said that 90% of moms were making diapering decisions. Procter & Gamble and other big CPG companies were talking directly to moms as part of their marketing. And I didn't think it was the right decision. We ended up launching with the name Amazon Mom, but when we launched in Europe, we changed it to Amazon Family, and then we eventually changed it to Amazon Family worldwide. But it's a sort of moment that I think back on where the data that we had and my instinct as the only mom in the room in that conversation were different, and my instinct might have been the more important one. And so what that's led to for me is really thinking about listening and thinking about who the consumers of my product are and who do I have in the room that reflects that point of view, and are my ears open. And I think that's been a real kind of formative thread for me as a leader.
Totally remember when that happened. I didn't know the backstory.
So a question that kind of leading from that, and I think this will probably be our last question because there's a little ticker timing here. We've got 3 minutes left. Okay. Part of the reason that I invited you here is because I really admire you as a leader in terms of how you listen to your organization and the things you do to try to listen. And a lot of what today has been about, and it's been such an awesome day, I've had such a great time, is talking about how people have become kind of activated and are changing their behaviors because of various things that are going on around them. In fact, I have become way more engaged in Amazon's gay group because of Leanne Pittsford, who challenged me and said it was kind of lame that I wasn't doing anything at my company, and I agreed with her. And then for the last 3 years, I've been getting progressively less lame, and it's because of Leanne. I'm still working on it, but yeah, it's good. So and I think that you have kind of a similar bent. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? How are you changing your leadership?
Well, I have a similar lame story. So I earlier, it was sometime mid to late last year, I was talking to my white male manager about how we really needed men to be part of the gender equity situation in technology, et cetera, what we're all dealing with, the funnel problem and everything. And I was doing it in like a normal, super effective way. I think I called him White Man the entire time instead of his name. And so I was like all fired up, and I'm like, we need you, like check your privilege, blah, blah. And then I thought about it afterwards. I was like, oh my God. I was like, first of all, to state the obvious, I'm white. And second of all, to state something that Stephenie said would totally not be obvious, I'm actually straight. And I said, oh, that's plenty of privilege, and I wasn't doing enough myself. I mean, I was using my wallet, and so I considered myself an ally that way, but I wasn't using my voice. And having been at Amazon a while and being a leader of a fairly large team, I did have a voice. So I decided that we would start. I didn't really know how to start, actually. But luckily, my whole group was very committed to this, and we hired a diversity and inclusion PM who has really helped us see. And she had an interesting quote. She said, you know, diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. So from that, I sort of have taken two goals. One is, I do believe diverse teams build better products, and I do have opportunity in my team to improve that. So that's recruiting efforts, understanding our pipeline, trying to find alternative sources where we're not necessarily getting only the same kinds of thinkers, looking at diversity on many dimensions, whether it's cognitive or racial or anything. And the second part is making sure my team is a place where people can be their true selves. A couple of people talked about it this morning, and it really resonated. Like a place where you feel comfortable being who you are, because if you're not going to bring the ideas to the table that actually lead to those better products for customers. So in my group, we're just starting the conversation and creating forums, taking bias tests, doing unconscious training, bias training discussions and talking about it, calling each other out, making it fun. And I can see the conversation changing, and it's super exciting to me. I can see people noticing things they didn't notice before, or asking questions that they wouldn't have asked a year ago about, maybe we're talking about a woman and people asking, would we talk about a man exactly the same way? So I'm super excited, very early stages, and like anything else, it's a culture of experimentation, and see how we get better.
All right, our time is up. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Does that mean we're over?